everyone, I'm Sarah Engel. Welcome to the Queendom, and today we are talking about hair care and how to get long hair. I know there's a component of this that is genetic, but there's certain things that I've found that have helped me and my crazy long hair, and I just want to share some of those with you. So if you're having problems getting your hair to grow past a certain length, hopefully these are helpful.
This is me, I'm so royal.
So here are 18 tips for how you can get longer hair. 14 of them are things I actually do, and then the last 4 are things that I've heard are beneficial, but I don't actually do myself. So maybe you can use them. Maybe I should use them. We'll see, as if my hair isn't already long enough. Tip number 1 is super simple. It's just to brush your hair gently. I noticed that people who have really long hair versus people who have short hair brush their hair significantly differently. And the reason I noticed this was actually with wigs. I was watching somebody who had shorter hair brush the wig, and she would just rip through that thing, and just watching it made me cringe. But then I noticed people who also had really long hair were much gentler in how they brush their hair. So if you're ripping through your hair, you're breaking your hair off. Don't do that. If you're just nice to it and gently from the bottom, just kind of gradually work your way up. Yes, it takes longer, but every time you're like, you're ripping your hair, and people wonder why their hair breaks off. Number 2 is another really simple one that almost sounds like it's being a little sarcastic, but it's really not. Just find yourself a hairstylist who isn't scissor happy. Some hairstylists, when you go in, you're like, oh yes, I would just like a trim. And then next thing you know, they chopped like 6 inches off your hair. Some people are just more prone to doing that than others. And so if you're not constantly cutting a ton off of your hair, then it's naturally going to be longer. So it sounds kind of snarky when I'm like, well, just don't cut it. I'm not saying don't cut it at all, but don't cut a ton off of it. If you can find a hairstylist who also has long hair, that might help. If she has super short hair and is always talking about how she'd like longer hair, that might be a red flag. Number 3 is probably one you've heard a million times, but it really is just avoid using heat styling on your hair as much as possible. But if you do, always use a heat protectant. I brought one here. I don't have any particular preference on brand, but this is just one. You just spray it in your hair, and it helps protect your hair from the heat. But avoid it if you can. Like, I very, very rarely straighten or curl my hair, and if I do, you try and do it a heatless way. Number 4 is avoid super tight ponytails. This isn't even so much for length, but you're actually wind up ripping your hair out, particularly at the front when you pull it in the really tight bun or in a tight ponytail. And ripping your hair out anywhere is not good. Plus, it tends to get caught in the little ponytail scrunchy thing, and then you're breaking the hair off. In fact, recently I went to Amber Arden's bridal shower and wound up getting a hair tie caught in my hair, and Tracy Hines, Miss Mermaid, had to cut it out of my hair because it got stuck. So if you can avoid doing those and doing them in little tiny twisties, that's good. You don't want to have to cut it out of your hair. Number 5, if you're going swimming, oh my goodness, braid your hair before you go swimming. If you go, I mean, anybody, if you already have long hair, you know if you go in the water and it's not braided, it's gonna be so tangly when you go out. You don't even want to think about it. It almost gives me anxiety even thinking about it. And every time your hair gets tangled, you've got to go through it and risk breaking hairs off. So if you just put your hair into braids before you go in the swimming pool, you're gonna make your life easier, and you're gonna make your hair happier and not risk breaking it off. Number 6, don't wash your hair too much. I know this sounds kind of weird and kind of gross. It used to be more gross before the advent of dry shampoo. If you wash your hair too much, you're stripping all those natural oils out of your hair, the natural oils that keep your hair all nice and not breaky. It's not good. You need those natural oils in your hair to keep your hair nice. And as much fake oils as you put in your hair, it's never quite the same as the oozy stuff that comes out of your head. really gross. If you do feel like you're somebody who needs to wash your hair every day, what I recommend is this stuff called New Wash. I talked about this on a favorites things video probably like 3 years ago at this point. This stuff cleans your hair with oils so it doesn't have a detergent in it, and you can wash your hair every single day with this, and it doesn't even require a conditioner. And because it basically is a conditioner, you're somehow like cleaning your hair and washing it at the same time. Number 7, make sure you brush all of the tangles out of your hair before getting in the shower. It's gonna be a lot easier to do that while your hair is dry than once it gets all wet and it gets all knotty and nasty. Plus, you've got one extra chance there to move all of the oils through your hair before you go in the shower and rinse it all out. That actually leads really well into number 8, which is don't brush your hair while it's wet. If you need to untangle your hair while it's wet, use a wide tooth comb or like a pick to really gently get out all the mess, because your hair actually becomes more fragile when it's wet. You just gently. Number 9 is use shampoos that are gentle. I don't have any specific recommendations. I mean, I did talk about the New Wash. The New Wash. That's not technically even a shampoo. It's not even a co-wash. It just somehow magically washes your hair with oil. I don't know. I'm not gonna like recommend any specific ones, but there's some that like you'll read that they're really bad on your hair and they'll dry it out. Just make sure you choose one that's either like, oh, it's for long hair, like for damage. I personally find the ones that say they're for damaged hair are probably ones that are gentler on your hair in the first place so you don't cause the damage. So I tend to veer that route. And just make sure I'm not using something like a product on it that's going to damage it. Number 10 is a tip that involves teasing. First of all, if you can avoid at least severely teasing your hair, like crazy teasing, and honestly probably avoid teasing it at all if you can. But if you do have a time where it's severely teased, and I've had times where it was severely teased. I used to model, and one time, I've had a couple times where they like tease it out to like here, and it looks like there's a chia pet happening. And you're like, what am I gonna do? I literally couldn't get a brush through it, and that's a scary thing for a person with really long hair. What you do to get that out is just take a bottle of conditioner and coat your head in it. And once your head is totally coated in conditioner, you can comb it out. And it's still tedious, but in case somebody does that, don't fear. My long-haired friends who've had your hair severely teased, you can get it out. But seriously, just coat it in conditioner, because if you just try and brush through that, you're gonna wind up breaking your hair. Conditioner's your friend. Number 11 is let the conditioner soak into your hair while you are showering. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll shampoo my hair, and then I'll condition it, and then I'll like shave the legs and stuff. So while you're shaving, you can let the conditioner soak in, kind of do its thing and be on your hair, so you're not just conditioning it and then immediately rinsing it out. Number 12 almost seems a little counterintuitive or a little bit contradictory to number 2. But number 12 is actually you do need to trim your hair. Trim the ends. Find yourself a hairstylist who can trim it for you. I probably really need a trim. And something I do, and people always ask me, what do you do for your hair? This is what I do, and maybe there's going to be a hairstylist out there who's be like, why are you doing that? Stop. I literally take a tiny little pair of scissors, and if I see a split end, like down here somewhere, I'll just cut it off. Like, look, there's one. You can't sit there and individually snip off all of the ends of your hairs. But if you happen to see one, I'm a big weirdo and I snip it off. Number 13 is something that I've noticed that was actually a tip that's for your skin, and that's sleeping with a silk pillowcase. And the thing is, it's not only nicer on your skin and doesn't pull on your skin as much, but I've found it doesn't pull on your hair and tangle your hair up as much. So your hair is more intact in the morning, and that means less brushing in the morning and less tangles and less ripping your hair out. Number 14, all my long-haired friends, I'm sure you can relate to this. Don't drive with the windows all down in your car unless your hair is in a braid or secured some way, because it's just gonna tangle your hair so much. The wind's gonna blow it every which way and you're creating all these knots in it, and then you're gonna have to like sometimes literally can't get them out. It gets so bad. It's just, I strongly suggest braiding your hair, or at least putting it into a ponytail, though not a super duper tight one. The last 4 are all ones that I either don't do on a regular basis. I think there's at least one that I have done, but they're things that I've read are good for your hair that might be good for you to try too. Number 15 is different hair masks and treatments that you can leave in your hair. I've heard a lot of things about Olaplex. I don't really know almost anything about it besides like what I've read on the internet, which isn't a lot, but it might be something worth asking your hairstylist about, especially if you bleach your hair a lot. I've had brands like give me stuff and I like tried it out, but it's not something I regularly do, so I didn't want to include it in the, these are all the things that I do. That actually leads into number 17 quite well. 17. Because that is actually avoiding coloring your hair or bleaching your hair as much as possible. That is one that I don't follow the advice. Obviously, if you really, really, really want really long hair and you're struggling and you can't, then don't bleach it, because bleach is really hard on your hair. Bleach is hard on everything. And you can clean your toilet with it. Why are we putting it in our hair? Color, I think some people have this idea that coloring your hair is not bad for it, but from what I've read, it can cause damage to your hair too. There might be some brands that do that less than others. I'm like, some advertise, oh, it's good for your hair. I don't know if that's true or not, but if you avoid it altogether, you know what? You're probably more likely to be able to get your hair to grow really long. Number 17 is hair vitamins. As if there hasn't been enough talk on YouTube lately about hair vitamins. I think we all know that these exist. I've had brands give them to me before, and I've taken them for short periods of time because I want to take them before I ever talk about them. But it's not something that I use. I mean, I've used them like a few times, ever. And my hair is still this long. It's been years. It's probably been like 3 years since I've taken a hair vitamin. And yet I can actually now sit on my hair for the first time in my life. That's a little weird. We're finally ready to move on to the last tip. Number 18 is just one I read that says that every night before bed, you should brush through your hair to distribute the oils. And that actually makes a lot of sense. And that's one that I might start doing. Plus, you go to bed with fewer tangles and it's probably gonna get less tangly as the night goes on, kind of similar to brushing through your hair before you get in the shower to eliminate those tangles. If you keep the tangles from getting too bad in the first place, then, I don't know, you're just preventing it from getting worse and worse and worse to the point where you're breaking your hairs to try and get it untangly. I think the overall gist of this was avoid the heats, avoid the harsh products, and do things you can to avoid getting your hair super tangly where you're in those situations where you're tempted to brush through really hard and wind up breaking your hair. So those are all 18 of my tips for how you can get longer hair. So you guys should let me know if you found any of those helpful. Tell me which ones you do already, which ones are new for you, and tell me how long your hair is. I'm really curious. You guys are gonna all get measuring tapes out and be measuring your hair. Someone on a live stream asked me not too long ago how long my hair was, and at that point in the live stream, I took a measuring tape out and measured it, and it was about 3 feet long. If you like this video, I do hope that you will give it a thumbs up. Thumbs up? There's multiple of you, so multiples of you give it thumbs up. And I hope that you will subscribe to if you want to see more videos like this and all sorts of fun shenanigans that we will get ourselves into in the future. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. It's all foofy. That's gonna be like another GIF. There's like hair in my face right now. Long hair problem. actually, this isn't a very long one. Avoid using heat hair.